even the banter, right?
Good, man. Good. Everything's good. I'm excited for your course, man.
Look at the background, Anubis, check it out. Okay.
I need to check my background.
Yeah, I gotta figure out how to do something like that.
That's kind of cool.
I got the tree of life behind me. Try to keep it zen in my office, my home office.
Nice.
Stanley. Yeah, no way. That's it. Yeah. I'm not forever call you Jamar, bro. I'm not calling you Stanley.
Yeah, I think everybody calls him Jamar. I don't think he goes. So he doesn't have audio.
Oh, he has to hit the.
Yeah. I'll give it one more minute and then we can get started. Yeah, man. This is Be Well, Stay Well. Mike, Manny, JD, just great idea. I think this is very much needed at this time. I think everybody, especially with the post that you just sent out today, on Forbes. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Like, for real? That's what people are spending the time doing, drinking, playing video games, and for real? Yeah. So, honestly, I think this for me has just pulled out of me something that I've been meaning to do. This course is something I've been meaning to do for a while, but just it never really manifested. So I'm actually appreciative for this opportunity to get this content out. As Mike can obviously attest to, so can Manny. I'm a person that kind of hides behind the scenes. My role has always been a behind the scenes person. So I'll get a little bit more into that. And this course has actually been something I've been looking forward to doing. And Mike just kind of kicked me in the butt and kind of got me to pull out all my stuff and get started. So I'm looking forward to sharing this information with you guys. So I got slides to share so that we can really talk through all the information I want to talk about. And let me add one more person in.
How are you feeling, by the way?
Me?
Yeah.
I am actually, I think I'm one of the few people who's very much enjoying this whole COVID quarantine scenario, right? As an entrepreneur, I spend a lot of time away from my family, and I am forced to be at home with my wife and child, and I have an 18-month-old, and so I missed a lot. I didn't realize how much I was missing until I've been home for the past month, and I get to see the stuff my daughter does, how she is growing and learning.
Right.
And I don't have that day-to-day, all-day relationship with her, right? Now I do, right? Now she can't go to sleep until she finds dad, right? Like I didn't have that before. So I'm actually very excited to be home all the time and spend all this time with my 18-month-old to allow her to get to know me and for me to get to know her. And I'm working, right? I'm still working. So now I'm learning how to balance this new thing called working from home with a child. I've been a consultant for a long time, so I've always worked from home, but didn't have a kid. And so now I'm actually balancing working from home with a child, and I'm actually enjoying this whole experience because, I'll get into it in a little while, but my background is project management. And so a lot of the time they need you on site. And so right now I have a client in New Jersey where I am on site. So that was making me miss a lot of time with my daughter. But now I see her every day. My wife is actually trying her hardest right now to keep her away from the door because she's trying to get in here. So I will apologize in advance if my wife fails and you guys hear her knocking at my door. But
Nope.
Actually, by now I would like to even see your daughter for a second.
Hey, no problem with that, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I could bring her in if everybody wants to see her. She could say hello.
Yeah, bring her in.
Yeah, I'll text my wife, tell her to bring her in. Actually, let me just go get her one quick.
Yeah.
Y'all getting ready to incite a riot. Y'all done led this man astray.
Right, right.
They're gonna have a
Hey,
fit
listen,
when we have to leave.
I don't have kids, so hey, I'm all for the kids because I don't.
Yeah,
gotta
this
deal
should
with
have happened at the end. That baby's gonna have a problem leaving out of that door.
You know what, Talib? You might be right about that.
You know,
I didn't even think about it when I said it, but
experience.
you know what was going through my mind? It's like, yo, I want this baby to be like one of the first babies that grows up thinking or looking at a bunch of us like, yo, I have a whole.
Oh, here she goes.
Say hi.
Baby.
Hey,
You say hi?
Look at him.
hey,
baby. Oh,
Hey, baby.
Hi,
Hi, baby.
sweet.
Hi.
You waving?
Oh, how old is she?
18 months.
Oh, wow.
You want to
Hey,
say hi?
baby.
Hi.
Hi.
So this has been the main reason why I'm enjoying being in quarantine, because I'm getting to know her, get to spend time with her while I work, right? So this is actually something that I find very beneficial. And we'll go into that, right? Because that's one of the questions that we ask in today's session. What's your why? What's your reason? And a lot of what I do stems, especially now, from her. Prior to this, it was to build a family, but now that I have a family, my big
guys, hold on a second, guys. There's a little conflict here. Mike, I have a asking me for the meeting ID. I'm looking at the meeting ID for this meeting. It's not the same that we have on that you send via text, or the one that's actually on the.
I came in through Alchemy, so I used the Zoom link there. That's how
I came in through the text message, and it brought me here.
Ah, okay, perfect. Because I don't know why Brian is texting me this.
Yeah.
He is in right now. Like, I admitted him, but it just kept saying joining. He should be coming in right now.
Oh, here he is. He's in now.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome. But yeah, we'll get into it. It's about your why. You want to say bye? Want to say bye?
Bye.
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 Yeah. Okay.
Bye, kitty pie.
Bye. Say bye again. Say bye. He's right here. He's right here. Good.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Bye. All right. Personal touch. Wanted to let you guys know why I do what I do, why I'm here. So let's get started, right? I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to share some slides. We're going to just dive right in. So give me 1 second. So can you guys see my screens?
Yes.
All right. So today, everybody is here for the Zen Art of Business Masterclass. This class I've designed as a masterclass to be a little bit of a transformative project, a part of this Be Well, Stay Well program. It's an experience that I think is to help one level up, but also to incorporate like a Zen mindset approach to operating your business. So there's a term that I actually came to love. It's called the Buddha and the Badass. It's from a course by Vishen Lakhiani from Mind Valley Academy's Be Extraordinary course. And basically, I go deeper into that in this discussion and throughout these 90 days, is really learning how to approach business from a mindset of peace, mind, calm, and strategy, as opposed to eagerness and just aggressiveness, because everybody knows the shark mindset when it comes to business, but you don't need that. First thing I'd like to say, is thank you. So thank you to everybody who has decided to join this course, to be a part of this Be Well, Stay Well program. Thank you for choosing me. Thank you for being a part of this program, because I am very much appreciative that you're taking your time out to spend time with me, to have these conversations, to learn, and to hopefully spark more conversation with all of us here at Alchemy, so that we can kind of all help each other level up. So today's course is really more about business, but this whole program is going to be mindset shift, right? I want to lay the foundation today that this is more so about a mindset than it is about business. 80 to 90% of actual business is your mindset, your ability to overcome obstacles, your ability to persevere. A small percent of business is actually a small percent of business is actually the
When you
tactics.
finish broadcasting, what do you do to get the video up?
Say what?
Like it's not on my Twitch.
It should be. It should go there soon.
Yeah, I think we have guys coming in that are not muted,
It
so
should go
just
up,
mute
like, within
everybody.
the next minute or so.
Okay, got you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, that's Eric and Omar.
Got it. Appreciate that. So, right, this course is going to be more so the mindset training. So, thank you for taking the time to work with me, to be a part of this course. What we're going to do today is really lay the foundation. So basically what I'm going to do today is really just give you a high-level introduction, overview, and help you understand what this course is going to be about, who I am a little bit, and then the first lesson this week, we're just going to jump right in. So this course is designed to bring a mindset shift for focusing balance and strategic view when engaging in entrepreneurship. And it's really what I say is it's a foundational course for people who are new to entrepreneurship. You can see this as a foundational course. And if you are someone who is current day entrepreneur, then, you know, this is a little bit of the go back to basics type of course. And perhaps you might know a lot of this stuff, but you're probably not doing it. And actions speak louder than words. So doing is really more important. And you may learn something from this course that actually allows you to incorporate some new strategies into how you approach entrepreneurship and business. So one of the first things that we're going to talk about is me. Who am I? My name is Arnold Anthony. I am the founder of a company called Vorey Consulting. Vorey Consulting is a strategic management company. What we do is we help startups as well as Fortune 500 companies with strategy as well as project management. So I've helped a lot. I'd say probably 30, 40 in the last 12 years. Startups work through a different variation of their issues where they bring me in to be a project manager, and then we talk more about strategy as a whole. I usually work with the C-suite. And so some of the companies I've worked with is a company like Obelisk Tower. They actually was a startup company. They had a portable Wi-Fi tower that they was gonna actually offer free Wi-Fi to like a 2-mile radius if you just buy this tower. It was a great idea. We were helping them get funding. Anybody want to talk to me about that? I have some stories, because one of the things that we'll talk about later in this course is your mindset can either allow you to succeed or fail in business. And unfortunately, this startup had a CEO that did not know how to get out of his own way. And he had lots of offers for funding, but he was a little bit difficult, and to say the least. So he did not get his project off the ground. Another company I worked with is Stats Effects. It's a guitar company, guitar pedal effects company out in Long Beach, California. Chef El Amin is a company based out in Westchester in New York. They actually have healthy soul food. So if anybody's looking for some healthy soul food in Westchester, check them out. African cuisine by a company by Christine Catering. They have a healthy alternative to a beef patty type dough, but it's actually vegan, non-GMO, puff pastry style beef patty empanada dough. They're actually out here in New Jersey, but they ship their product nationally. A company that I really do enjoy working with now is Mozart for Munchkins. As a new father myself, they have this company where they provide classical music concerts to people with young children. I'm talking like 18 months old and up, so that, you know, you can enjoy a concert. And everybody who's been to an opera understands that it's a little difficult when a kid's there crying and acting up. You can't enjoy the experience, but they allow you to have that same concert experience. And another company I want to bring up is Tom App, because they are a data-driven discovery platform taking the guesswork out of eating and sustainable living for those with dietary restrictions. So this company I enjoy working with because they're trying to make an impact on the world. The reason why I bring up all of these companies is because, as you can see, it's a myriad of different types of companies. They're all doing different things, but at the basis, entrepreneurship is all the same. So these things that we end up talking about in the next 40 minutes that I have you will apply to your business venture, to your thoughts, because entrepreneurship at a base level is pretty much the same. I've also worked with big businesses like Gilead Sciences, which is a leading global pharmaceutical company. They were actually doing channel strategy. So they were launching a new therapeutic drug and they wanted to get it out to the masses. And I was involved in coming up with how we do the penetration for the R&D teams processes. And then right now, my main client is a company called One Diversify. They're a legal global integrator. So think Times Square billboards, they do that. The Air Jordan store in Toronto, they do that. What I work with them on is a similar thing. They're now integrating 5 different companies that they bought, and they're trying to all seek to be harmonized. So over the last 12 years of being a consultant, working with a myriad of different companies, I learned how to try to manage my time, but I've also seen a lot of things happen with different companies. And then I became a father, as you guys just saw. And so that is actually what sparked the creation of my product company, BizMind Academy. It's an online training academy. And it's really, what happened is I had a lot of early stage entrepreneurs who needed my time, attention, and energy, but I had a new child, couldn't spend as much time with them. And so they needed help, but they didn't have, sometimes they didn't have the funds to keep me fully engaged. And so I really wanted a way to help people. And so I came up with let me just come up with these quick documents. I actually shared some of them with Eric Boyce a while ago, just saying, hey, these are some of the documents I created. What do you think? Do you think this is easy to digest? And Eric can attest, as well as the different people I shared it with. The documents were valuable, but they did not provide the level of hands-on approach that people needed. So client needed more. They needed more explanation of the details within the documents. So I ended up trying to think, what else can I do? I never saw myself as a person who would create courses, because consulting is always a little bit more one-on-one, and I like that one-on-one approach. But I felt as a daughter, with a daughter now, I needed a different way to still provide value. And so I launched BizMind Academy, and it's Voria Consulting's online trading platform. It's designed to empower entrepreneurs by helping them learn skills and tactics that can be quickly implemented into daily business processes to produce noticeable results, right? I'm not about teaching the big picture. Most entrepreneurs are self-sufficient. Most entrepreneurs are go-getters. They're hungry. They know what they need to do. They look to get real bite-sized things that they can take in right now and apply right now, because they have an issue that they need to solve right now, right? So I noticed that most people didn't always want the big picture course. They needed just bite-sized, I call it micro-learning type courses. And so that's what BizMind Academy is about. I launched a time management course first. Next week's lesson will be about time management. If anybody here is an entrepreneur, you will know. And if you're trying to get into being an entrepreneur, you will need to understand that time management is probably the foundation for entrepreneurship, because you're going to be wearing a lot of hats. You have a lot of different roles to juggle, and managing your time is crucial. So the first course I launched is on time management. It's actually offered free within Alchemy. I suggest you take it. It's very simple, very quick. It'll probably take you 15 minutes, but it's a simple mindset strategy shift on just how to approach your time. And some of the courses that I've yet to launch, just finished it last week, is the 7 phases of a business launch. This course is a high-level overview of what to expect when you're launching a business. And I'm actually going to go through that course, some of that course's content in later weeks in this masterclass, because I think it's very important. Another course that I'm going to be coming out with is a business plan strategy course. It talks about all the information that you need to when you're talking about creating a business plan, and we will also talk about that in Alchemy. Probably I think it's week 9. We'll be talking about business plan strategy, and then I also have some courses coming about chatbot marketing, email marketing, and a couple other courses I'm working on with some joint ventures. Basically, I try to create courses that I think can provide simple strategic value that you can take today and then start using. You know, I don't want my courses to be things that people need like months to consume. So a lot of our courses are very, few hours, and then you have the information and you can move forward. So to begin our journey together, this week's discussion is titled Mind Strategy, Mind Discipline, and Mind Habit. And that's really the focus for today's course. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to talk about 2 topics, very simple, very straightforward. And those are going to be, we're going to set the stage, which we talk about the phases of development, which is human mindset and how we as human beings develop. We'll go through those stages, and then we'll talk about what is your reason. And I think the lesson for this week is to really focus in on your reason. If you're thinking about being an entrepreneur, or if you're an entrepreneur right now, what is your reason? Do you have clarity on that? And we'll go a little bit deeper into that later, because as we talk about these different phases of existence, right, as our mental stages develop, we will maybe understand that we might have began our business journey in a different stage for different reasons. Some of us may have started our journey because we wanted, I know when I was younger, I did start my first business because I wanted to just be a CEO. I wanted to know that title, my ego needed to be boosted, and then I learned very quickly what it really meant to be an entrepreneur. So let's talk about the different phases. Phase 1 is the victim identity. And I'm sure most of us can talk through and understand that stage. The victim identity stage is when you have a loss of power. Everything is outside of you. The reason why your life isn't what you want it to be. You blame others. You believe that you're just a byproduct of your circumstances, your surroundings, and your upbringing, right? I'm sure a lot of us have friends or family members who are still in this stage, and it's our job to help them get out of that stage where they just have this loss of power. And a lot of us have probably been there at some stage in our life where we look at ourselves and we just think, wow, I don't, everything is outside of me. We blame everything else. And at some point later on in life, we wake up, right? We go through this awakening stage. We learn that happiness is actually a choice, that we can empower ourselves, right? We learn self-control. We learn that once we can empower ourselves and learn to change our reality, that we can actually affect the things around us. So that's when we start becoming a little ambitious. We set goals, and then we learn that we can choose what we believe, and then we can also let go of what doesn't serve us, right? And this awakening stage is probably, a decent amount of us here on Alchemy are probably, past this awakening stage, in this awakening stage, and we're really like just out there going through and getting it, right? Part of what ends up happening is you move on to phase 3, which is the introspection phase of your life, right? And that's when you end up going a little bit deeper. If anybody was able to attend the Elevate that Eric did, he talks about this thing where, like building community, building the relationships, right? Because ultimately, as an entrepreneur, you may think that just making a whole bunch of money is going to make you really happy. And then you make that money and you realize it doesn't. There's still stuff missing. And this introspection stage is when you start really working on self-development. You start going deeper. You use meditation, practice breathing techniques, and you do a lot of stuff to elevate your mindset, right? That's really what this phase 3 is about. And I think that's when we start beginning to practice affirmations, meditations, creative visualizations, because we start realizing that we need to go deeper to find a level of happiness that external things and physical things can't provide us, right? There's a level of happiness that we need to provide ourselves. And I think many of us here in Alchemy are in between that, phase 2, phase 3, and that's why you joined Alchemy, because you're starting to take charge of your circumstances. You're taking charge of leveling up. You're asking to be held accountable, right? You need a level of self-awareness to know you need to be held accountable, right? And I think that's where a lot of us here are really gravitating towards this Be Well, Stay Well program, is because we're in this awakening or introspection phase where we know our life is not what we want it to be. It can be more. We know we are not always able to pull ourselves to be our greatest selves, our best selves. And so we need that help. And that's why this platform, Alchemy, and this 90-day program is really going to be very beneficial. If anybody has not had the chance to check out some of the other courses, I'm happy to say I got to check out, Raf's course on your direction and your sale. And that course, he's really getting you to think about commitment when it comes to working out. And, Talib's course, I took that earlier on today, right? You got to really think about your intention, and you have to think deeply on where you want to be. Talib brings up the gap, and we'll talk a little bit about that in today's course. There's this thing called the gap that everybody needs to understand as an entrepreneur. So if you have not had a chance, I think this Be Well, Stay Well program fits well into many different areas of our lives as men, and being held accountable and leveling up and pushing ourselves, especially during this time where everybody can retreat, as Mike mentioned and posted about, right? It's clear now, it's even in the news, that people are not allowing themselves to be the best version of themselves. They're just like kind of falling into patterns of habit, and we want to be able to rise above. So I think what phase 4 to me is really about is when I call the transcendent existence, right? I'm not at phase 4 yet. Perhaps one day I will be, but it's those who live a life of service, dedicated to service. So I would say, missionaries, monks, people who are really all about service, the lack of material things, et cetera, et cetera. Some of us will probably, transition into that. Some of us are probably there right now, but that's what I think is phase 4. So when you start thinking about these phases, start thinking about what your reason is, what stage you're at right now, and obviously think about when you want to get to the next stage, how that process is going to go. So what is your reason? Why are you an entrepreneur? The core focus of today's today's strategy session, today's discussion, because entrepreneurship is something that you don't just fall into entrepreneurship. It's a conscious choice, right? And so one of the things I really want to focus on is entrepreneurship for you a means to something else, or is entrepreneurship for you the end goal in itself? And think about those different phases, think about the different levels of development, and think about where you are right now, why you decided or why you are an entrepreneur. Because ultimately, if entrepreneur is a means to an end, you're probably going to have a very difficult road as an entrepreneur, because we entrepreneurs know that this is an up and down ride. And if you can't enjoy the journey for what it is, because you're just anticipating this goal at the end, you're going to have a very difficult time. So that's part of what we talk about next, which is this book called The Gap in the Game by Dan Sullivan. Everybody as an entrepreneur needs to understand the gap. And all entrepreneurs need to understand what I would call the forward gap, when you think about you as an entrepreneur selling a service or a product, right? The forward gap is a person today, Dan Sullivan explains it, is a person today is looking at themselves and saying, wow, I want to get over there. That guy has this, or I want this. And there's a difference between who they are and who they want to be. And that's that gap. And as an entrepreneur, our job is actually to position ourselves inside that gap for our customers, right? We want to say that we can help fill in that gap. Our service can help get you from point A to point B. Our product can help get you from point A to point B, right? So as an entrepreneur, you definitely need to understand that gap. Dan Sullivan is like one of the world's foremost experts on entrepreneurship in action. He's the founder of the Strategic Coach Inc. And this book, I actually have added as a part of the bonus section to this week's course, the first week audio for this course for free. I'm going to try to figure out how to get you guys the whole audio book for free, because this course I think is really important if you just listen to this book to help you understand the mindset of entrepreneurship. So that space between where clients want to be and where they are now is where your service falls into. So as an entrepreneur, you need to understand that gap. But knowing this, like for us as entrepreneurs, we need to understand that we need to approach our lives differently than how we approach our clients. And it's a little bit, you know, like we just need to understand human nature. In human nature, we seek to fill gaps, right? People may be at those lower stages, phase one. And so that void of being a victim allows them to think that these outside things will fill them up. And consumerism is what, you know, entrepreneurship is built on. So we as consumers, you know, seek to fill our gaps. But as an entrepreneur, if you are going to provide this service, you yourself should not live in that gap. And this book will help you understand that you should avoid that gap altogether, because it's a toxic way of thinking. And so we need to ask ourselves, is entrepreneurship a means to an end, or is it the goal in itself? And really think deeply on that. Because as I mentioned earlier, great power comes with the understanding you gain as you shift from phase one to phase two, when you realize, I have power, I have control. And so when you start having power and you start having control, you understand that you are not a byproduct of your you're not a byproduct of your circumstances, right? You're not a byproduct of what life has dealt you. You can make different choices. You can do different things. And so the ability to make different choices and do different things needs to come from a place of stability and peace, not from a place of weakness and fear and lack, right? So understanding your ability to improve your life and the power that you gain when you have choice is something. Thank you. So it's something that you need to understand. So I have this phrase up here: you become what you believe. You are where you are today in your life based on what you have believed. And that, I think, is a powerful statement. Many don't know about Oprah, right? She transcended her upbringing to be who she is today. And it's not because she said, oh, well, you know, I grew up with a alcoholic father and things were bad for me, so I'm just going to stay stuck, right? Understanding your power allows you to make different choices. And so, you know, this image that I have here of Oprah is to kind of talk through just a little bit of her story, right? If you don't know about her, her father saved her life because he gave her this strict regimen of structure, rules, and books. He had this thing where he was conditioning her mind. And the most powerful tool we have as entrepreneurs is our mind and our ability to make decisions and understand where we're coming from, right? So as we think about why we do what we do, we need to always remember that we have the power to choose, because we may have been pushed into entrepreneurship because it's just what we thought we had to do based on social pressure or based on friends, whoever. So the ability for you to come from a place of peace is really important. So we are not just products of our environment. Again, what is your reason? Like, why are you an entrepreneur? Think deeply on this, because I want to be bluntly honest. Anybody here who is an entrepreneur can tell you entrepreneurship is difficult. It's simple. It is probably the hardest job you're going to try to undertake. So if you're not in this for the love of it, if you're not in this for the purity of it, to serve others, to provide a value of service, I really want you to take a deep reflection and ask yourself, is making the quick buck really worth putting yourself through what in entrepreneurship? You can make money in a lot of other ways on this planet. Entrepreneurship is hard work, and it really requires someone who wants to be in it for just that reason, right? So if this is not something that you're thinking you are in love with, take some time to ask yourself, is this really for you? Because one of the things that I like to bring up is that entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. It is not for those who lack resilience, because you will fail a lot more than you will succeed. And for the average person, that's scary. That's tough, right? Failure, your ego gets involved. Failure hits you. It hits you very close to home. But as the entrepreneur, you have to know it's okay to fail, right? A lot of what you do is going to fail, and you need to understand, you need to expect that almost, because you're usually charting new territory, charting new paths. So ask yourself, is this for you? Do you want to fail over and over and be okay with it? Are you confident enough to fail over and over and just still keep going, pick yourself up? Do fears, doubts, and the need to be perfect, or the need to know everything, hold you back, right? Because most of us as specialists need to know everything. We actually get paid for what we know. We get paid, the higher amount we get paid is based on the more we know. And the average entrepreneur may know a lot about their product or service, but they have a lot of unknowns for the territory that they're going to charter when they're looking to blaze a new path. And they need to be okay with that, right? So the goal is to know that an entrepreneur must embrace failure. And this takes a level of self-confidence. And that's why I think entrepreneurship, as you move through the phases, it changes for each of us, because you as a person change how you view life. This quote here is from someone, Elon Musk. Most of us know him. Failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you are not innovating. I really love this quote because, as you can see, failure is an option here. If you're not failing, you are not innovating. So basically what Elon Musk is saying is that his mindset is, I expect to fail. And he's okay with that, right? Because charting new territory, I think Albert Einstein, how many different times a lot of the different experiments, you can imagine how many times he failed. Edison, when he tried to create the light bulb, probably failed, I think it was 2,000 times. I don't know if I could fail 2,000 times doing one thing.
10,000.
10,000?
10,000.
Thank you. I don't know who here is strong enough to fail at something 10,000 times, 9,900, and still keep going, right? That's the resilience that you need to have. And Elon Musk basically says, he embraces failure because he understands that 60 to 70% of the things he tries, is probably a higher statistic, but they will not succeed. And that's okay, because gaining self-control is a key factor in the balanced Zen approach to entrepreneurship. So understanding your why, understanding what you're doing, understanding your level of controlling your inner dialogue is really what I think is the goal of today's conversation. Because you need to learn to be kind to yourself and to lower that voice in your head that is your ego, who needs to be correct all the time, so that you cannot be afraid, so that you can move forward with this childlike, resilient attitude of, I'm just going to keep going. I'm excited and I'm going to keep really moving forward. So what the lesson for today is actually what I like to focus on is the backwards gap, right? And the Zen Art of Business approach to business and strategy is the backwards gap. So instead of looking at yourself today and looking at the forward motion of what you don't have, that's a perspective of lack. Don't do that to yourself. Be grateful for who you are now, what you have accomplished now, and how you have grown, right? So learn to live in this perpetual state of happiness as an entrepreneur with who you are now. I don't care if you're able to, you have a fear of calling people, and then you made 2 calls today, cold calls. They probably went bad, doesn't matter. Pat yourself on the back for that. Celebrate the small wins, right? So you can remove your happiness from your goals. I think that's the key for lesson 1 of this week is work towards entangling your happiness from the goals, because your goals are always going to be in the future, and they're going to be roads that you cannot understand how you get to. And if you're attaching your future happiness on this future excitement that you're going to get when you reach this goal, you're going to have a hard time. But if you can look today and say, wow, yesterday I got so much accomplished, I'm grateful for that, then you're always moving forward with this sense of continuing like excitement, because you're not seeing your life as lack. You're seeing all the positives, all the great things that you're always accomplishing, and you can move forward with no fear. Like fearlessness is needed in entrepreneurship. But you know, for all of us, we need to find that fearlessness, and to find that fearlessness, it comes back to the same question: why? So what is your reason? Why are you an entrepreneur? If you do not have a strong reason, during those times where, like now, many entrepreneurs have been hit hard with the scenario, you know, the threat of firing people, the threat of probably 40 to 60% of revenue loss during the situation. Can you handle that? If you have a strong why, if your reason is purpose, if your reason is service to others, you will push through during this stage. But if your reason was to make a quick buck and now you're just watching yourself hemorrhaging money, it's probably not going to be you know, the best experience that you're having right now. So look within and find out. That is what you need to do for this week's lesson. We'll talk more about it next week, but we'll touch on this in our next week's lesson. I'm going to ask you guys, like, have you gotten clear on your why? I don't know if any of you have heard of this TED Talk, but Simon Sinek has this TED Talk, Start With Why. He talks about how and why Apple dominates the market. It's an amazing TED Talk. It just kind of further helps you get into the understanding of why the why is so important, right? So get clear on your why and think about yourself as an entrepreneur and what you're looking to accomplish and why you're doing it, because ultimately it's always going to stem back to the why, especially during this times like now. Most of us, if we do not have a strong why, we're falling apart. But some of us who are looking at this situation and only seeing, like, I got to go harder, I got to do more because this situation is not going to stop me. That's the energy that is needed during this time. So that is the basis for today's conversation, today's discussion. As we continue through this course, I'm going to continue to challenge you to look within, because the Zen art of business is the fact that you can play with the subtleties of your mindset and make little shifts in approaching some of the most difficult tasks that you do on a day-to-day basis. Just this mindset shift a little bit to the left can allow you to do the exact same thing, but see it completely differently and produce completely different results, right? So take the time to understand your why. Think about yourself in your phases, and remember that if you are trying to be an entrepreneur, if you're currently an entrepreneur, get clear on what drives you and your purpose, because you will need that for however long you decide to be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is not just a fly-by-night thing. It is really a way of life. And it doesn't matter if your businesses fail, right? You just start a new business, keep going, right? Many people, if we look at some of the most successful billionaires, they've had multiple businesses that have failed. Some have done well, some have just bombed, but they just keep going, because this is not something that's just about an end to get money or to impress people. It's not a means to an end. It really is the end in itself. So I'm going to open up the session right now for Q&A. Anybody who has questions, let me know. I will post this video in Alchemy at the ending of this, as well as the talking points and these slides. So they will be listed as well. Last, I'm going to open up the gap, the first lesson. It's all about the mindset. It's a free audio file, so you guys can just download that, listen to it. Reach out to me if you want to figure out how to get all, because I couldn't upload all of it. It's like a 2.5 hour long audio course, and it wouldn't let me upload it, but I'm happy to share that with you guys for free. I can even send you to the guy's website because he has a free download. So feel free to talk to me about that. But right now I'm going to stop sharing, and I am going to open it up for any Q&A.
Yo, Arvel, thank you so much, man.
Not a problem, brother.
The one thing that stuck out to me, several things stuck out to me, and I really love the Elon Musk quote, and I'm gonna find that on Google and I'll probably post that on social. But as an entrepreneur, I call myself the accidental entrepreneur. I had, to figure out a way to take care of myself and my family after losing my job. And I remember then when you said something, you said mindset shift. I had to have this mindset shift when I became an entrepreneur because I was so used to systems being in place for me already. Payroll department, take your lunch between 12 and 1, benefits department. I never questioned. I just went to the doctor and, it is what it is. I picked my medical plan. But for this, one thing that I will say is that everybody on this line who is, even if you're still at a day job, but you're trying to start a business on the side, or you're a veteran business owner, like somebody like Brian Phillips and Marlon Briscoe, Eric Boyce, is that with this new pandemic comes another mindset shift.
Yes, sir.
It comes another mindset shift. And that's something that we were talking about yesterday of like using new tools like Zoom, for instance, like Brian and Marlon, they're doing virtual real estate tours and closing on apartments and houses.
Innovation,
right?
I love it.
So with that comes, with this pandemic and all this change comes yet another mindset shift that entrepreneurs are going to have. And I'm in the midst of that right now. I think that one thing that we need to keep in mind is staying resilient during these times.
Yeah.
Also understanding that if you are a leader and you're working with other leaders, it's stop. And this is a 9-to-5 thing too, is always looking to the person that has a title or something for them to have the answers, all the answers. This is going to be a thing that we figure out collectively, how to move forward in our businesses and work together and do things like this. Because if you're not doing things like this, and I did post something on my Instagram, if you're not doing shit like this at least once a week, you are going to be that person who is going to be wishing there was another $1,200 stimulus check issued in the next 4 months.
Facts.
So mindset shift is huge.
Well, hey, Mike, real quick, it's Danny. I still wish there was another $1,200 check coming tomorrow anyway, just by the way, FYI.
and it's actually a tax advance, people. You have to pay it back.
Is that true?
Yes, it is. But that's a whole nother conversation. But go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead, Mike. I interrupted you.
It's like it's a tax advance, and it either is going to be deducted from the money that you have to pay back, or you just, if you're going to get a refund, they're going to take that from how much money you were going to get from the government.
Yeah, they say you can't claim it or something like that.
And
like, shit, that ain't a stimulus. That's just paying you with your own money.
Exactly.
Literally, it's you signed a record deal and you got an advance on your deal, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's really what it just did.
Advance on that income tax.
That's why you gotta go indie.
Hey, yo, Jay, let's go buy some chains.
Forget that, man. I'm about to peace over my lady. We getting the tiger.
That's something I'm with.
So that's I'll close on this, and I also want to add, there's a thing of also with mindset shift is not getting too caught up in the media and what the media is saying about spending and the economy. I want to say today I had one of the best financial days that I've had with one of my other businesses in since I started, nuts. And as I say that, I think, Manny, you just saw that email. We got a new sign up. We got a new member that just came in, right? So people are looking for things to spend money on. It's just what do you offer that is of value? Are you truly connecting to people? So that mindset shift for me has happened. For me, Manny, Jay, all of us, we are talking every day in the war room. Like, where do we need to be? Do we need to shift? Are we being tone deaf?
Yeah.
There are no wrong answers.
Yeah.
So that's all I needed to say.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that, because as an entrepreneur, you can speak. There might be some people on here who are not entrepreneurs who are thinking about it, right? But, you know, there are many people who are probably thinking, I wanted to be an entrepreneur this year, but I don't know if I can even try. Like, what's going on in the economy? The economy is falling apart. I can't even be an entrepreneur. And that's not the case, right? We're all still spending money. We're all still need to exist. So we spend money on clothes. We spend money on food. We still do what we got to do. So as an entrepreneur, that's when the resilience and the innovation comes in, because you need to now, you probably need to redesign yourself every couple of months, if not every couple of years as an entrepreneur, because climates change, circumstances change, the flow, the ebbs and flow of business changes. And every time it changes, you need to change, right? So having yourself being static with your knowledge is worthless. I mean, even in normal life, the average shelf life of the typical knowledge base for any service that you offer is 8 years. So within 4 years, you're on your way out if you're not learning new skills, right? So innovation is something that a lot of us don't think about that we need to do. Some of us naturally do. We continue to get our certifications to keep up with day-to-day things for our courses and the things that we offer in life. But other people just don't continue to learn. They don't continue their education with bettering themselves. And what ends up happening is, you know, new people come in with, you know, the new way of doing things. And then the people who have 15 years of experience, 20 years of experience, don't know how to operate in the current world, right? Something Eric mentioned, you know, in the Elevate is, as he was breaking ground with his business, people didn't understand. So, you know, 10 years later, now that like he is poised and positioned to take charge of the industry, people are like, how did that happen? Well, it's because he was thinking 3, 4, 5 steps ahead when people were thinking like, come on, online, using online to make money, right? If you think about 10 years ago. Yeah, so it wasn't really what everybody, you know, thought about. So you need to innovate. So keep that in mind for yourself as an entrepreneur. Any other questions that we want to bring up today? We still have a little bit more time. Obviously, I'm not going to cut it off the record at 8. So feel free. This course is designed to be a course that allows us to talk openly about entrepreneurship, to talk and share mindsets and information with each other, so that we can all level up in our states of being when it comes to being an entrepreneur. So no question, no topic is off limits. I want to make sure that we all ground ourselves in, you know, the mindset of being an entrepreneur for the right reasons. Anybody got any questions?
No questions. I really enjoyed your talk. How do you pronounce your name?
It's Arvel. It's like Carvel without the C. You add an L at the end.
Arvel.
So I moved out to California 10 years ago doing consulting. That's how I say it on the East Coast. Everybody knew what I was talking about. I went out to California. People were like, what's
They don't know what Carvel is.
Yes, yes.
They don't have Carvel.
Exactly. They was like, what's Carvel? So then the analogy didn't even work. But most of the time, my whole life, I've always said it's Carvel without the C, add an L to the end.
Well, I would say one of the things, I was late to the call because I was eating dinner, but I chimed in a little before you started talking about like finding your why.
Yeah.
And you know, it really rung out. You know, these are really interesting times, and as an entrepreneur, you know, this whole situation has hit me tremendously from a financial perspective,
Yes.
from, you know, a mental perspective. I mean, I haven't been outside in over 5 weeks, and you know, we're all of a generation where we grew up being outside, right? So like, you know, Mike, you have, you know, younger kids. I'm sure your youngest is like, shit, I just look at a video game, I'm good, right? But we're not of that era. So, you know, I would say the first couple of weeks, it definitely, I'm not say useless, but I definitely was in a fog, you know, like that's when I found out, you know, some really big projects that I had put together obviously fell through. They're not going to happen because they were live.
Yep.
that's when I realized that the check I was supposed to get in May, which was probably the equivalent of a 1.5 years salary, is not going to happen. And so, you know, lately I've been trying to like, okay, what can I do? And, you know, some of you guys know, like I posted in the group today about Sunday Dinner Series, and it's a show I've actually pitched to the Food Network before, and they liked it and didn't go anywhere. And so I was like, all right, well, you know what? I'm home. I wrote this shit. I'll just start putting it on social media. Called up, you know, one of my buddies in the fashion space. He'll be the first guest. My other buddy who won a Super Bowl, the Eagles, he's going to be the second guest, you know, like, so just trying to line up guests. I was like, you know what? We're all home. What can we try and figure out? So that was one thing that just really rang out. I just want to say thanks. And I appreciated that because I think we're going to be in this situation for a long time.
Yeah.
So that particularly, and again, I know I came late, but that particularly rung out because I think we're all going to have to find new whys. Yeah, because I just think I don't think we really get back to any sort of sense of normal for like minimally 3 to 6 months. That's just my personal opinion. I'm not on any, you know, health board, but I know from my perspective, I'm not going back outside for a while.
I agree with you. It's even if things were to open the doors tomorrow, this is a traumatic experience for most of us. This is trauma. Even though you don't want to accept it as trauma, we're guys, nah, it's not trauma. No, it's traumatic, right? We were all just put on lockdown, and we've been living in our houses under quarantine for weeks. So even if we do go back to quote unquote business as usual tomorrow, none of us energetically, mentally will just shift back to our old selves. This experience has changed us fundamentally. Some of these types of experiences, what pushes us through the stages of phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, right? Phase 1, you're a victim. Phase 2, you realize you're awake and you have a little bit of control. Phase 3, you look inside and you're a little bit more introspective. And phase 4 is about transcendence. So maybe you were in that victim stage and then this hit and now you're like, I got to find a way to have control. And you wake up thinking, find control, have control, right? So ultimately, we want to make sure that all of us look like we lean on each other. And I'm going to take the time to personally reach out to every single one of you guys. If you have not done so already, please go into Alchemy, you know, register for the course, absorb the content that I'm going to put in there. I want to make sure I know everybody that wants to participate. And I'll reach out to you directly because as entrepreneurs, we need to help each other. We need to support each other. We need to bounce ideas of each other. And we need to, as Alchemy members, right, make ourselves available to create something new. That is the art of alchemy, is turning a base metal into gold, right, through the art of refinement. All of us are here to help polish each other and get each other to go from being that rough, you know, lump of coal into a nicely polished diamond. And we can do that with each other during these stages. So definitely, you know, want to talk to each and every one of you, hear what you're working on, hear what you're going through, and let's see how we all can learn to collaborate. Utilize Alchemy, utilize the chat function, start posting questions, start connecting with each other. It's really what it's about. Because this is not going away for a while. Next week, we'll talk about time management. And so we will talk more about why time management is something that's very important for all of us as entrepreneurs and why it's the basis for, you know, entrepreneurship in general. And I really want to let the foundations be set for the average entrepreneur who thinks they can just power through it. You might be able to. Week 1, week 2, year 1, year 2. But if you have this mindset of powering through it, you will break yourself down over time. And I have family members who are very successful entrepreneurs who paid the price of what stress does to the body without true balance. So manage your time, right? Something I learned, my mentor he started Priceline.com and then ended up going on to having a venture capitalist firm he owns and then also working in the state of New York government. He instilled in me that your time is your most valuable asset, right? And if you guys want to do the math and see how much Bill Gates earns per second, right? Understand when you value your time and what that time really means. So value your time, manage your time, and ensure that you have time for space, for balance, for happiness, as well as for productivity, because if your goal in entrepreneurship is only about productivity, you're going to burn yourself out. And this is like a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's for the long haul. And so you have to set yourself up mentally for that long haul game, especially now with everything changes, right? All of us on here are, as Mike said, as all of us are thinking, we're learning how to innovate in this new economy that's coming out. We have no clue what's going to happen a year from now and how things are going to settle. And some entrepreneurs will thrive in these circumstances, and some of them will fall apart, right? So keep that in mind for yourself. I don't want to run too much over, but I don't want to cut us short. So if anybody has any additional questions, feel free to ask them. I have this slide up on the screen. We have other courses as a part of Be Well, Stay Well. You have access to them. Please join the other courses. You know, Holy Men by Omar, Goal Setting by Talib, you know, Direct Your Sale by Raf, and the Morning Yoga by Tyrone. I'm not a yoga person, but I'm going to try this out because this is all about stretching yourself to outside your comfort zone during this 90 days and really pushing yourself to level up. You can come out of this situation a much better man, or you can come out of this situation just worse off than you were beforehand. I'm choosing the former, right? So questions, anyone? Awesome. Well, again, thank you guys so much for joining me. I really do appreciate your time. I'm going to load this video up inside of Alchemy. I'll load these slides, and then I'll also unlock the audio course. And anybody, please feel free to reach out to me directly if you want access to the full audio. I think it'll be something that everybody benefits from, because this gap in here, your most valuable asset is your mindset. So please protect that. Keep yourself safe. And thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Varel. Appreciate you so much.
Thank you, bro. Killed it, man. Thank you.
Thanks, Alvin.
Everybody, have a
Good
good
night.
night, fellas.
Good night, everybody.